Okay, this is a vlog on suicide and what your thoughts are on suicide. I was in the shower this morning thinking about suicide. Not the thought of killing myself or anything, just suicide itself, the act of suicide. I had an immediate family member commit suicide, and I found there were three types of response from people in the family about the person that committed suicide. There was the angry people, the ones that thought he was a bastard, that he was only thinking about himself, that he was selfish, he didn't think about how the rest of the family was going to feel, how upset he was making everybody, etc. Then there was the second type, the one that felt compassion for him. You know, poor man, how was he feeling that it had come to this? Then there was the third type, who were the fence sitters. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean they're the ones that can see both sides of the person. Can see that one person would be very angry that he didn't, and the other can see that the other person would be have compassion for him. I myself was the compassionate one, because all I could think about was, can you imagine the mindset of somebody that they would be that utterly depressed? He wasn't drunk or taking drugs or anything like that. He was lucid, if one could call oneself lucid, to be able to kill themselves. But can you imagine being that utterly depressed or sad or sick of life to be able to kill yourself? He had come and stayed with me the November. He died January 21st, 2 years ago. And he came and stayed with me the November just before. And I remember looking at him and thinking, a couple of times I caught him sitting there patting the dog or whatever, but I could see how utterly lonely he looked. He looked very lonely. And he had also made the comment to me, which it never occurred to me that he would ever do it, but he said to me at one stage, he said, "You never know, Vicky, one day I might just put a gun under my chin and shoot myself." Or he said, "You never know, Vicky, I might just shoot myself one day and get it over and done with." And that's exactly what he did. He put a gun under his chin and shot himself. And I just, it never occurred to me for 1 second that he was actually thinking like that. And I remember also we had this conversation. There's certain conversations you have in your life or certain things that happen that always stay with you. I can barely remember what I had for breakfast this morning, but this conversation I did remember. He said to me how he was getting older and how people weren't treating him with respect anymore. He was a very intelligent man, had his own businesses, lots of money. He looked like half his age. He was very fit. And he remembered he went to a hospital. He had an operation and he went into hospital, and he told me that when he went in there that the nurses treated him like an old man, that they wouldn't listen to him, and that he said they just treated me like I was some silly old bugger in there. And I found that very, very sad, because I know it happens. People look at older people and think, oh yeah, they're senile, or they don't really know what they're talking about, which is so untrue. So untrue. Sure, there's plenty of people out there that get dementia or whatever and aren't very lucid, but there's people like this family member who was extremely intelligent, extremely lucid, and people were very flippant with him and treated him offhand. And he was, I remember looking at him when he told me that, because at the time I was working with the elderly, and I had seen it myself, the way people treated the elderly. Some of them were very patronising towards them, would say, yes dear, pat their hand, and then walk off and never give them a second thought. And that's very, very sad, the way people treat the elderly. anyway, back to this. Can you imagine somebody being that utterly depressed that they felt the need to kill themselves? That they decided that life was no longer worth living? I just find it really, really sad that somebody would feel that lonely and depressed that they would do that. I find that really sad. And you often think, if only I got to speak to him just before, if you could have changed something. And I'm sure everybody thinks, oh, if only I had done more, if only I had been there or whatever. But I believe things happen for a reason. And I don't feel sorry for him in the fact that, I feel sorry for him that he felt that utterly depressed, but I don't disrespect what he did. It was his life. He was an intelligent person. If he decided he had had enough, then that was entirely up to him. I'm just curious as to what other people think about this and their thoughts on it. There's the phone. I've got to go. Please tell me what you think about it. Smile and have a nice day.